Oh, yeah. Hi, it's Steve Sawyer. It is March 7th, 2019, and today we're going to talk about persistence. And I've got some nice quotes about persistence, but that was good. Did you like that? I thought that was great. So, with persistence, one of the things we have to deal with is why quit? Why not quit? We all come up against obstacles in our life that make us have to decide whether we're going to persevere or not. And our dreams, whether we're talking about our dreams and potential destiny in time or in eternity, they must be pursued. They must be pursued. What do you bet? Let's see. Yeah. Don't know who that is, but they'll have to call back. Sorry about that. So, the persistence is something that ought to become like our heartbeat. Persistence ought to be something that we embrace so dearly that we become totally unconscious of the fact that we persevere. I showed some neat pictures on the Facebook page, one of the tree roots that grew, and one that I think is really poignant for the human condition also is the one that showed the flower breaking through the asphalt pavement. One of the nice things about the plant world is the plant world has absolutely no concept of fear. So why wouldn't it keep pushing until it broke through the asphalt? Why wouldn't the tree keep growing in spite of the obstacles in its way, surrounded by bricks? And of course I put up, I just thought a couple of minutes ago of that amazing cartoon, Pogo, where Pogo says, we have met the enemy and he is us. So, can't talk about persistence without talking about fear, because I would say most of the time the reasons we don't persevere is because we become afraid, either afraid of failure or afraid of people making fun of us, or just get to where we rationalize certain things like well, it was a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be, or the timing didn't feel right, or we have this amazing intellectual capacity to create every conceivable excuse to not do something when it really is based very often on nothing more than the fact that we're afraid. Fear has created more chaos on this planet probably than anything else. Let me read you a couple of really good quotes on persistence, which I think are brilliant. There are lots of them, and if you ever wanted to look at quotes on persistence, you should. It's an easy thing to find. This is by a former president, Calvin Coolidge. He said, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." The slogan "Press On" has always solved and will always solve the problems of the human race. B.F. Skinner said, "A failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best one can do under the circumstances. The real mistake is to stop trying." Martin Luther King said, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward." And Winston Churchill, and I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit, but Winston Churchill said, "When you're going through hell, don't stop." So, it's really important. We have dreams that have to be honored. And the only way we can honor them is to persevere, because obstacles, there was another quote I read that said something like, persistence is almost like magic, because when you persevere, difficulties show up and obstacles vanish, something like that. But so let me move forward, because even though it's really important to talk about perseverance with our own human goals for the short life we have down here, there are so many talented people who are more qualified than they've given themselves credit for. Our dreams are precious. Sometimes I think the dreams of our future destiny may actually come from God. I can't say, I can't speak to that. But I know we need to pursue divinity and divine goodness with the same passion that a drowning man has when he's trying to reach the surface and get air. I don't know that we always pursue our potential spiritually with the same fervor that we might, or that we have the privilege to do. In sewing, there's a thing called a warp and a weft. You know, the thread goes one way, then it goes the other way. And if we look at the roots of our primitive religions, the warp could have been superstition, but the weft is fear. And we have created fabrics and clothing, coats of sorts, that humanity has worn for, God, centuries. And they become almost like an accepted wardrobe, that we allow these things to interfere with our God-given right to pursue greatness. You know, sometimes there are people who still wear these coats of primitive religion as a badge of honor. Some people stow them away in a cedar closet thinking they might need them again, and some people throw them to the trash pile and burn them. I'm not saying we should despise the cart that brought humanity forward over these centuries, because primitive religion was, where would we be without it? But do we still need it? So persevering also has something to do with being able to let go, because there are some things you can't, what was that, it's easier for a rich man to get through the eye of a needle than to get into heaven. Well, you know, Jesus wasn't talking about all rich people. He was just trying to make a point. But the point is, the eye of a needle is pretty small, and a lot of the things that we hang on to, they don't have survival quality. They don't have anything within them that will get through the eye of a needle, which is why, you know, the people that worship money, those are the people that can't get through the eye of the needle. All this, all the primitive coats that we got from primitive religion, these actually are the forerunners of civilization, and they're not to be despised. Hello, Zeus. Do you want to come over here, or stop barking at something? Zeus. The dog. Zeus. Anyway, the thing that I want to get to, it's a very, very simple and beautiful thing, but you know, when we talk about Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus said, "Ask and it shall be given to you, seek and you shall find, knock and it shall be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, he who seeks finds, and to him who knocks the door of salvation will be opened." Something like that, right? Do you think that's going to be something that we can get sitting on our cans on a couch? No. It takes perseverance. Every worthwhile goal that we have, whether it's to get a better job, or whether it's to actually wrap our arms around the thing that all of humanity has sought to achieve for countless centuries, which is life after death, it takes some work. It's not just something that we lay back and go, hey, God, how about just doing that for me? What do you think? Anyway, persistence. It's a very, very powerful concept to not give up. It's a wonderful concept to not give up. It not only creates stronger men and women, people we respect are people who persevere. There's something so greatly honored in seeing a person who tries, fails, gets up, tries again. What was it? Michael Jordan said something, I can definitely paraphrase it, but he said, the reason I succeeded is because I missed the game-winning shot 50 times. I missed 1,000 free throws. He talked about all the ways in which he failed, apparently, but all of these apparent failures are what drove him to become one of the greatest athletes in the history of humankind. There are great men and women all over the world. Abraham Lincoln, I mean, the number of times he sought and lost office before he became president of the United States is legendary. I posted that probably a week ago. It was called Lincoln's Failures. There's something great and noble inside the human mind and heart that achieves spiritual status when it doesn't give up. And we need to love persistence in our own lives and respect it in the lives of others. It's such a tragedy. For me personally, I've seen a lot of people who have great talent. There's some people I know that I thought were great artists who quit. Sometimes they quit because the pressure from the spouse was too great. Sometimes they quit because the obstacles seemed insurmountable. So, I mean, I've witnessed people falling away from lack of persistence. And I'd like to think that I am one who has experienced the joys of perseverance. But all of us have the same issues. The issues are everywhere we go. But if we don't have a goal, if we don't have something to aspire to achieve, then we don't have any reason to cultivate perseverance. There's nothing to persist over, right? What's it say in the Bible? It says, without a vision, my people will perish. We got to have vision. Your dreams matter. Your dreams are important. And, if you give up on your earthly dreams, does that mean that you're going to give up on your spiritual dreams? If you're a quitter, you're a quitter. And if you never quit, you never quit. So I want everybody to not only honor the joys of being able to persevere in their own life. And I know that there are people I've seen who are watching who have accomplished great things in their life, who have served many, many people by their perseverance. And just because people reach a pinnacle of success doesn't mean that it was handed to them. Very seldom do we realize the struggle that people have by the time they succeed. When you watch a great athlete or like a great springboard diver, the people that do things and make it look so easy, and yet we watch them when they stand before us as consummate professionals, but we don't know how much they struggled and how diligently they kept trying, how they never gave up, how they kept going on and on and on and on, because they knew that something within them told them that they had the right to succeed. We all do. So anybody that's, let me say this. We've all let fear control our lives at some point. Everybody has justified and rationalized their fearful behavior when they didn't need to. But, if we know what the problem is, then we can overcome the problem. Let's not rationalize and try to make some kind of an intellectually sophisticated sentence about why we're actually afraid. I just talked to a fellow yesterday, delightful young man, who dealt with addiction for some great part of his life, and he's also an artist. Very smart man, and he wanted to figure out, how can I go into ministry? And it was really complicated and for him, and not just suggested that maybe if he made it uncomplicated, he'd realize maybe the reason he hadn't started was just because, quite honestly, he was afraid. He didn't know how to start, afraid he was going to fail. And as I've mentioned before, the highest office of prophecy is to encourage other people. If you want to get close to God's heart, be kind. Find the good in other people and encourage them. Doesn't mean they'll accept it. Doesn't mean they won't reject you, tell you to blow off. But, as the parable of the sower says, you throw your seed out. You encourage people. You see people in fear. Try to help them believe they have every right to overcome it, because this is a coat that we have been wearing based on our primitive ancestors. We're wearing it because we think we're supposed to. Somebody said, this has been handed down from generation to generation. It's a magnificent coat woven of perfect thread, traditions and superstition and fear. It's what I usually like to call big bag, long chain. We have this stuff packed in a bag that we drag around with us for decades, not realizing that we can just let go of it. And the only key to unlock that shackle that's around our ankle that's helping us drag that crud with us year after year, day after day. Faith, love of the unknown, not fear of the unknown. I mean, if we knew what was going to happen, we wouldn't need faith. Think how much money people spend on soothsayers and prognosticators and psychics and whatever. It's just because we're afraid of the unknown. Everybody wants to know what's going to happen. Why do we need to know what's going to happen? I think our eternal character, the quality that God is most excited about, is not the person who can know exactly what's going to happen, but the person that charges onward through the fog, right? There's great beauty. God, it almost feels like it's a sanctified experience to embrace the unknown. What could we possibly know? We guess. We have to guess at stuff. From one day to the next, the newspaper proves to us that we don't know what's going to happen. God, the weatherman, has multi-million-dollar worth of equipment, and half the time seems like they get it wrong. We don't know. We need to enjoy not knowing. When we enjoy the unknown, when we embrace the unknown, when it becomes, God, what is it? Oh, man, I had ideas swimming because, I like doing this as spontaneously as possible, but sometimes I come up with ideas. I go, I don't know how to put words to that. But the unknown is not the enemy. Fear is the enemy. Fear is a coat that was handed to us by people that we thought we trusted. Here, wear this. This will protect you. Really? I don't think so. Anyway, I was going for 15 minutes. I blew it. Today, let's just honor persistence. Honor not giving up. When you see it in someone else, respect it. When you see others that are giving up, help them. Give them a word of encouragement. Try to tell them, don't give up. The flower can break through the asphalt. Oh my God, why? Because it's not afraid. And as Jesus said something about the birds of the sky or the flowers and things like that, how much greater is the potential of a human being, someone who is self-conscious, God-conscious? How much greater is our potential to achieve great things, to break through the asphalt of life and blossom? It's all ours. Just don't be afraid. Just take it. And don't be afraid of how long it takes, because that's just an intellectually phony, sophisticated way of saying, I'm afraid. It took me 20 years from the time I decided I wanted to do what would one day be called Art for God and my first painting. And my model, Ty, is here and online with me. What would have happened if I'd given up? That may not seem important to you guys, but it's very important to me, and I know that it's been very important to other people. And that's just one person. That's just me. That's just one gift coming to fruition. Every one of you has something that you have the right to accomplish. And the easiest way to get there is to try to figure out why you quit. Usually it's nothing more than fear. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. Right? Anyway, let's go on. Let's kick fear in the teeth. Let's persevere. Let's not only make our lives feel like we can make an amazing contribution, which we can. All of us have the ability to make an amazing contribution. Just don't be afraid. Don't give up. Persevere, persevere, persevere. And I'll do, if I can find that one quote again, what was that? I'll do B.F. Skinner, and then I'm going to hit the stop button. B.F. Skinner said, "A failure is not always a mistake. It may simply be the best you can do under the circumstances. The real mistake is to stop trying." Bye, guys.